Hi, and welcome back to another installment of the Daily Economic Updates. Today I'm going to be covering a lot of different subjects, mostly revolving around food distribution systems, the just-in-time concept that is really at the heart of most of the United States and really the Western world's food distribution systems, and really almost all distribution systems now. And then hopefully we'll be taking a little trip out to the greenhouse today, looking at pantries and some little things you can do to kind of help, disaster preparedness and things like that. So let's go ahead and jump right into it here. And I'm going to start here with a little bit of a schoolwork here, but if you follow along, there should be a link on this page that should take you right to this PowerPoint presentation if you want to see some of the finer things in here. So basically this is in the past, going back in the 1950s, 60s, even into the 70s, this is the basic way that food distribution worked in the United States. You would generally have either a regional or national warehousing place. This goes for food and also pretty much all other things that were shipped to stores. Basically you would have a national warehouse or regional warehouse that would ship usually via rail to local food warehousing areas. So I live in the Toledo, Ohio area. There was warehouses down, in the where all the rail heads all come together and where the ports are. Most major, even minor cities would have, several weeks worth of stocked food in their local area. Those local areas by truck or delivery trucks or whatever would in turn then deliver to the neighborhood grocery stores or wherever else they were delivering to. What this meant, this had a lot of built-in what they call slop into the system, meaning there's a lot of waste in here. But on the other hand, this had a lot of safety built into it. If there was a problem where you couldn't get, where this link had been severed for any reason, if there was a strike or any kind of natural disasters that would have cut this link, you still had weeks and weeks worth of food at the local level. Okay, so efficiency experts look at this and see this as a huge waste. You have lots of inventory just sitting here waiting to be used. So they came up with the just-in-time system. This is our current system for delivering almost all goods in the United States. This is true of any of the automotive industries and the factories that they run, all run off of this, what they call a highly efficient distribution system. And it is actually a marvel at how well the just-in-time, it's called the JIT, if you've ever heard that acronym before. It's just-in-time. Basically the way it works is you have the end consumer, like a Walmart or your local grocery store. So as they run out of stock on a certain thing, they, by a computer or even going back further, they would telephone it in, but now it's all done by computers to a central operator or a central location, saying that they need more canned goods or they need whatever. That in turn is then sent to a regional distribution, usually like a Walmart would keep in Chicago area, or if I'm in Toledo, we're lucky enough to actually be a regional distribution area because of our central locations, Detroit and Cleveland. So what this means is that they in turn, via truck, would ship to your local grocery store. The problem with this scenario is that in some cases, if you lived out in a further away place, away from a central distribution, this could be several hundred miles or maybe even 500-600 miles from local to regional distribution. It's all dependent upon trucking, over-the-road trucking. Not a whole lot of rail is in play here unless they're bringing it to, usually rail is brought into your regional, or they're usually port facilities near where these regional places are, like Chicago, Toledo, places like that, New Orleans. So basically you're dependent on over-the-road trucking to bridge that last several hundred-mile gap. Now that's great. This is very efficient. This has saved businesses, literally hundreds of billions of dollars, streamlining the inventory process. Now, it comes at a price, okay? The just-in-time system is based on computer models, basically saying, and if you're following along, you can see it says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. A typical inventory system would say, you know, on a Monday, on a typical Monday, we use up 10,000 gallons of gas, or 500 pounds of pork, or 1,000 units of chunky soup. 13,000 gallons on Tuesday, 8,000 on Wednesday, and through what is an amazing piece of software, it's called data mining. They're able to look at historic trends. They can even incorporate weather patterns now. Walmart does this. A lot of the other companies do this now, where if a snowstorm is coming into a certain area, they have enough historic evidence or historic norms to say how much milk is going to be bought up. People panic buy during these winter storms. And in the old days, back, I can remember when I was a kid, there'd be a run on milk, and all the milk would be gone in a matter of hours. Well, it doesn't happen anymore because, places like Walmart see these snowstorms coming in, but what they don't see is the unseen. We go back to the dreaded black swan event. If you're living out on the West Coast, you got to look at Port-au-Prince right now. I've been watching all morning, the horrific pictures from Haiti. And that's about as black swan as they get. Who would have ever thought a 7.0 earthquake in Haiti? So basically, this is all they try to put as many variables into this, but there are certain things that can't be seen. Earthquakes, hurricanes even, they're pretty good at predicting. Well, how about trucking? The trucking unions, or strikes. Trucking, that last segment can be cut between you and your food. So, although their just-in-time system is extremely efficient, it is also very vulnerable to unexpected events. So, what they see as the norm, they can go back and look at 5 or 10 years worth of historic data to say that this is true. But what about something outside the norm? Peak oil comes to mind. Did their models take into account $4.75 diesel fuel or $6 diesel fuel? I bet you that factor played havoc with all of these assumptions back 2-3 years ago, and we could easily be heading back into that direction. Really, within the next year, we could be back to $5 gasoline. Are they taking that into account? So, where I'm going to move on to next is the reasonable steps that you and your family should be taking, I think, to protect yourself against this just-in-time system. It has been said that any city is 3 to 4 days away from starvation if the trucking stops. If those trucks stop moving from the regional to the local, most cities have about 3 days supply. If there's any kind of a panic event, even knowing that a hurricane was coming into New Orleans, look at the havoc that played. Inside of 3 days, every store was stripped dry and there was nothing. So we're going to get into the home pantry. A little bit longer term thinking would be the kitchen garden and reasonable disaster preparations. So I'm going to start down in my basement, and we're going to look at pantries and some other what I consider reasonable disaster preparations. It doesn't have to be end of the world, apocalypse type planning. It can just be reasonable things you can do to protect yourself. So let's go take a look. Hi, and welcome to my basement. Sorry about how dirty it is down here. Probably should have spent a little more time cleaning. Basically, I'm just going to show you some of my basic disaster preparedness items that I have down here. It doesn't have to be, planning for the end of the world. There are so many things that could happen. One thing comes to mind was the ice storm that hit the far northeast, up in Canada and up in Maine area. They were without electricity in the dead of winter for, I think it was almost 2 to 3 weeks. All the gasoline dried up there. It was a real mess up there. Bet you a lot of the people in that area wish they'd had some of these basic disaster items that I have here. So let's go ahead and take a look here. I'm going to swing the camera around. Try not to make it too dizzy. Okay, starting with basic pantry items.